Birds got some great news for both Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown this weekend, but some not-so-great news for another receiver, as the team prepares to face a now healthy Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Plus, while Lane Johnson has some extra motivation, and the Birds' biggest X factor for Sunday's playoff game that no one is talking about, from Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Sunday afternoon marks the fourth time Philadelphia and Green Bay have met in the playoffs, with all of them being at the link and all coming down to the wire. Most notably, the 2004 4th and 26 McNabb Miracle in the NFC Divisional Round, and the most recent 2011 NFC Wildcard matchup where a shoestring tackle of Deshaun Jackson right there might have been the difference between a first-round loss and a Super Bowl win for the Birds. And with the playoffs being here, that means a playoff-size giveaway to help us get to 80,000 subscribers. This is a full-size NFL football. Happens to be signed by DeVonta Smith. When we get to 80,000 subscribers, one of you guys is going to go ahead and win this bad boy right here. In the meantime, for today's show, if this gets 50,000 views and the Birds win on Sunday, I'll pick one person who comments literally anything down below to win an Eagles jersey of your choice. Now, when it comes to the health of both teams, Jalen Hurts was a full participant in both Thursday and Friday's practices, and according to his teammates, looked sharp and ready to go following his 2-week stint on concussion protocol.
You've had, from what we know, you've had a couple of weeks kind of off, you couldn't do stuff. Does your arm feel stronger? Do your legs feel fresh? Does your body feel better?
I feel ready to go.
And how long did it take for you to kind of feel right?
For me to clear protocol, so I'm great now.
Hurts on Sunday will play in his 6th playoff game since 2021, where he boasts a 2-5 record and currently has 0 losses to any team not named the Chiefs or Tampa Bay Bucks, with his best game coming during the 2022 divisional round versus the Saquon-led New York Giants, where Hurts completed 66% of his passes, had 3 total touchdowns, en route to a Birds blowout win against Big Blue. His most recent performance was the Birds' loss last year in Tampa. We forget that he was actually pretty good despite missing his top receiver in A.J. Brown, completing 71% of his throws for 250 yards and 2 total touchdowns. Safe to say, if you're worried about Jalen Hurts, maybe rust, maybe playoff experience, maybe his playoff record, I wouldn't be. I don't think Hurts is going to be a problem at all in Sunday's game versus Green Bay. The same seems to go for A.J. Brown, whose absence from Thursday's practice with some sort of knee issue raised a ton of red flags, but he did return Friday and practice seemed fine and confirmed he's good to go.
How's the knee feeling?
I'm okay. It's tough at times, but I'm okay.
Is this something that happened at practice on Wednesday, or is this just something you've been dealing with?
Something I've been dealing with. Yeah, something I've been dealing with.
Close to 100%. You think you are?
Yeah, that don't matter. We going. It doesn't matter. We going. It doesn't matter how we feeling. It doesn't matter who's hurt or whatever. We going. And we going for it all. So.
Eagle reporters like John Clark echoed that the plan all week was to rest Brown on Thursday to help with a minor knee issue he's dealt with all season long. There's zero indication he's not going to play. He will play Sunday, and he won't be limited in any way. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Underdog Fantasy, because the NFL playoffs are here, which means it's time for you to cash in on the Eagle players' best performances this Sunday versus the Green Bay Packers. Underdog is available in over 30 states, including California, Georgia, and even Texas. And it's super simple to play. Like, all you have to do is call your shot by picking higher or lower on 2 or more player stats for a chance to win real money. This weekend, I obviously think the Birds are going to beat the Green Bay Packers, and so for my pick, starting off with Saquon Barkley, let's go higher than 2.5 receptions. I think he's going to be a big factor, not only rushing, but receiving as well. Jalen Hurts, he's back and obviously going to get a brotherly shove touchdown at the 1-yard line, so higher than 0.5 rush receiving touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, also back. I know he played last week in that meaningless Week 18 game, but he's going to be a massive factor against the Packer defense. Give me higher than 33.5 receiving yards, and then I'm definitely behind the Bird defense, so Josh Jacobs, Packer running back, I'm going to go with lower than 98.5 rush plus receiving yards because I think they're going to shut down the entire Packer offense, and that includes Josh Jacobs. Also, right now, all new customers can pair my picks you just saw with this Justin Herbert free pick as well. Download the app today, get started with Underdog, and turn the Eagle touchdowns into cash. And the same can be said for Packers quarterback Jordan Love, who went from not throwing in front of the media at all on Wednesday to fully participating the past 2 practices, and yep, right here, throwing for all to see. He seems fine. Obviously, he's going to start. I had so many questions and concerns for him on Wednesday, but those are all gone. Green Bay looks healthy, Jordan Love looks ready, and they're going to be a real test for everybody come Sunday at the Link. There is some minor concern for DeVonta Smith, who actually missed Friday's practice with back tightness, although apparently, much like AJ's absence on Thursday, Smitty's rest is simply precautionary, and the Birds are fully expecting him to be ready to go on Sunday. Also ready is Barkley, who will play in his first home playoff game ever, like in his entire career, on Sunday in front of a fully sold-out Lincoln Financial Field crowd.
The home games here are electric. So, my expectation for a first home game, I don't really know how much further they can take it, playing against them on the other side, and then playing a Monday night here, playing a Thursday night here, playing Sunday. It's like the way that they show up to games, and how amazing our fan base are is out of this world. So I'm excited to be able to have one home game guaranteed in front of them, but hopefully go out there and do what we got to do. So maybe 2, maybe 3.
Saquon's lone playoff run came back in 2022, when the Giants upset the NFC North champ Vikings in the wildcard round before running into the buzzsaw that was Philly in round 2. Barkley did score 2 touchdowns in that win against the Minnesota Vikings, but never came close to 100 yards in either playoff game he's played. Barkley is already an X factor in this one, but a rested, hungry, and healthy Saquon in the postseason might be something the NFL has never seen before. Kind of like how we'd never seen Cooper DeJean versus the Green Bay Packers, as Philly was not ready to put the rookie in during their Week 1 trip down to Brazil, and honestly paid a massive price for it, as Packers receiver Jalen shredded the Birds for 171 total yards in that Week 1 matchup. This time around, he'll face Cooper DeJean, who has yet to surrender a touchdown this season and sounded like a 10-year vet when asked earlier this week the difference between Week 1 rookie DeJean and where he's at now.
It doesn't seem like we're rookies anymore. I mean, I think Q would say the same thing. We're just kind of fit in real well with the rest of the guys. Kind of just go about our business, and everybody treats everybody the same.
Honestly, it sounds like the entire Eagle team is way hungrier, a lot more confident heading into this year's playoffs versus last season. Last year, Philly limped to the finish and all but expected to be bounced in round 1. Now the Birds not only boast the league's best roster, but a clear path to the NFC Championship game that, if the cards fall right, could eventually end up in Philly if everything goes their way.
We've got a bunch of young guys who, first year here, either it's their first year on the team or first year in the league. We've got a lot of hunger in this locker room, but also that chip on our shoulder from last year, making sure we don't repeat those same mistakes. So that's the biggest difference.
If there's one Eagle who doesn't need any extra motivation this weekend, it's now Lane Johnson, who found out Friday morning that he was not selected to be an All-Pro first-teamer after being beat out by Detroit's Penei Sewell. Clearly, Johnson was pretty upset about this, as his stat comparison versus Sewell's was taped to his locker on Friday, which clearly showed a massive advantage in the favor of the Birds' right tackle. All-Pros, Pro Bowls, all the different awards, they're all kind of annoying, especially when everybody considers Johnson to be the best right tackle in the league. Here's to hoping he shuts down every Green Bay Packer he faces this weekend. On a positive note, how about Saquon Barkley officially getting his All-Pro nod, no surprise there, and also linebacker Zach Bond, who becomes the first Eagles linebacker in 25 years to be named to an All-Pro team basically since Jeremiah Trotter Sr. Bond's offseason price, it's going to be massive, but let's not worry about that. Just enjoy watching the best Eagles linebacker we've seen in over 2 decades play on Sunday versus the Packers. Now, when it comes to a way of upsetting the Birds, Josh Jacobs, I think, is the key factor, as the Packers running back started red hot in their Week 1 matchup versus the Birds and then slowly fizzled out. I think the Birds are going to counter by loading the box a lot more and allow those cornerbacks to play press man coverage on the outside, which, if Jacobs is slowed, Love will have to throw his way to victory, which I think could result in multiple turnovers by Gardner Johnson and company. But even with Jacobs and Reed's success the first time around, that was over 18 weeks ago, and the Bird defense that we saw Week 1 is night and day different, way better than where they were the first time around.
Long ways. I feel like we as a defense have come a long ways. The pride we take in everything, as far as stopping the run, stopping the pass, our technique, block destruction, tackling, fundamentals, little things like that. I feel like we all have come far in every type of way.
It's easy to say, but play mistake-free football, run Saquon, convert your deep shots to AJ and DeVonta, and make Jordan Love beat you with his arm, and all of that can result in a Philadelphia win that could be pretty darn comfortable, getting them ready for a round 2 matchup versus either the Bucs, Rams, or Vikings. All of who present unique pros and cons, but that's going to be safe for hopefully Monday of next week. As you can tell, I'm pretty confident. I think Philadelphia is going to win by double digits. 31-21 is my official prediction. Although, as I learned on Jacob Sports during my hit earlier this week, not every single Eagle fan is as confident as I am.
What are your feelings about this team heading in to face the Green Bay Packers?
I think you basically nailed it, right? I mean, the defense is the biggest surprise of the past 5 years going into a Philadelphia Eagles season. Did any of us think we'd have a top basically number 1 defense all season long. I remember saying on my show all off season that if we have a top 15 defense, I think the Eagles can be pretty good this year. And instead,
that's right where I was, Thomas.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, the 13th ranked overall defense, we all would have been like, Vic Fangio has completely changed everything. This is crazy. And instead, you have an incredible defensive line that's basically not missed a step, even though they lost all the guys last year, including Fletcher Cox. Easily the best linebacker group, maybe my entire lifetime. I'm 28 years old. It's easily the best that I can remember. And then a secondary that's leagues better than we've seen in a very long time. So I agree there, John. Obviously, the defense is playing well. I think the offense is gearing up for a really big game. I think the whole Jalen Hurts drama over the past couple of weeks has been not blown out of proportion, but
it's been blown out of proportion.
Well, it has been in the fact that he can't get clear of concussion protocol until he actually practiced on Wednesday and then sleeps one night, feels good the next day. Like he'll be fine today. But I think a lot of people are talking about rust right now for Jalen Hurts in this offense. And rust is such a lame term, guys, because there are plenty of teams that have a bye week, have no rust, and it's like, boy, I bet that bye week was great. They got rested. It's fantastic. And there are some teams that have a bye week and then look rusty. And it's like, oh, the bye week is the worst thing ever. This Philadelphia Eagles team, I think, is built to not have any sort of rust because, Saquon Barkley on the offensive line, even if it takes Jalen Hurts a quarter to get the rust off of him or shake the rust off, they can run the football 10 times in the first quarter. Saquon can break a couple for 20, 25 yards, and the offense is going to hum, get in a field goal range, go up 3-0, or maybe even score in the red zone. So I feel confident. I don't know if I'm too confident, overly confident for this game, but the Eagles, to me, match up very well with the Green Bay Packers, and I think they're going to hang 30 on them on Sunday.
Wow, 30 is a big number, Thomas. And I'm going to push back on you on one thing, all right? And I've been saying this to everybody, Thomas, and you'll be able to resonate with this example. If you didn't do an episode of the Thomas Mott Show for 3 weeks, are you telling me you'd step back into the chair and you would sound as good as you did 3 weeks ago and you'd edit it as good as you did? Sure. I mean, come on, 3 weeks off is a long time, Thomas.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it's going to be a big issue, but I'm saying I think there could be something to watch there, and it might change how the Eagles come into the game, approach it game plan wise. And you said it, maybe rely on Saquon early.
I think it all depends on what Jalen Hurts has actually been doing the past couple of weeks, right? I think a lot of people hear concussion protocol and they think that he's just in a dark closet somewhere, with glasses on, barely moving, and just trying to sleep through this whole thing. It's like, and I thought that there was a really great report, I forget who it was, a couple of days ago, where they run into Jalen Hurts in the hallway, and it's like normal Jalen Hurts, the NovaCare complex. He's got a smoothie, chat with Kenny Pickett. He's been doing everything that a starting quarterback can and is allowed to do, minus the on-the-field stuff. And so if there's rust there, maybe. But I go back to 2022 when he has the shoulder injury versus the Chicago Bears. He plays in that Giants game, which was okay, but Philadelphia as a whole wasn't really humming on all cylinders because they had Gardner Minshew in for the past couple of weeks. He plays one game in 34 days. They have a bye week with extra time off, and then he just lights up the New York Giants. I mean, literally, that was the best Jalen Hurts playoff game until the Super Bowl. He was much worse in the 49er win in the NFC title game than he was against the Giants in the divisional round. So, again, rust, like what is it actually going to mean? Will it manifest in the first quarter? Will it take a drive or 2 drives or a completion to get things going? I don't know. I'm just not that worried about it.
But now that I'm looking at this game and now that it's here, I like the matchup. I don't think the Packers are playing their best football right now. John tells me I'm overlooking them a little bit. I think they're a good team. I don't think they compare to the Eagles from a talent perspective enough to win the football game. How do you view the Packers coming into this game from a team perspective as a whole?
I was opposite of you about a week ago. I wanted Green Bay over Washington because of the mobile quarterback factor. I think that's been the one semi-struggle, and it's not a full struggle because they handled Lamar Jackson pretty well. But I think the last time you played the Commanders, you saw Jaden Daniels, that 4th and 11 was kind of an issue. And so I'd rather face the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, for me, overall, are the exact same football team we saw week 1 minus Christian Watson, right? We talk about Philadelphia post-bye, and they're this completely different defense and a completely different offense, and they look nothing like what Green Bay saw down there in Brazil in week 1. This is the exact same Packer football team. They love to run the football with Josh Jacobs. They did a good job of that in the first game, and they like to find Jalen Reed and obviously before Christian Watson over the top. Those are their 3 main weapons, and of course Tucker Kraft under the middle. I'm just not that scared of them because of Jordan Love, and I don't want to undersell Jordan Love and pretend like Jordan Love is some 21st ranked quarterback in the NFL. He's very good. I think he will be very good over the course of his career. But where the Packers are right now today versus where they were at this exact point last season as a wildcard team preparing to go to the NFC champs in Dallas, completely different. They were red hot. The Packer offense was red hot going against the Dallas Cowboys. You could feel that upset coming. Packer offense is not red hot. I mean, just this past week, even when Jordan Love was in there pre-injury, they weren't moving the football that well against the Chicago Bears, who are, as we know, a complete dumpster fire of a franchise, especially this season. I think Philadelphia, though, they match up so well against the Green Bay Packers. And I think Cooper DeJean is a massive, massive indicator of extreme importance for Philadelphia because Jalen Reed was the X factor in that game. They ran the ball week one, well with Josh Jacobs. Didn't have a crazy Josh Jacobs game, but he ran the football very well. And Jalen Reed was their leading receiver. I mean, he got all these different slant routes, and he got obviously the touchdown, and then the run, the end around. I mean, he was going crazy on the Eagle defense, and Avonte Maddox obviously had no answer for him. And since Cooper DeJean has taken over, as you guys know, the Eagle secondary has gone from really good corners, really good safeties. Now they're elite. They're an elite secondary right now with Cooper DeJean, with the one exception being, which he told Anthony DeBona, who I think everyone should follow on Eagles Twitter. DeBona's fantastic. Told DeBona last week in the Eagles locker room, minus that 1 week versus I'm blanking on him right now. The Panther receiver. What's his name? Help me out here.
The guy dropped
Adam
the ball.
Thielen.
Thank you. I was like, goodness gracious, I can't think of the name.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about Xavier Leggett.
No. I'm thinking of Thielen. Because Thielen,
he took him to school. Yeah.
I mean, ate his lunch.
Oh yeah,
right?
Since
then, much better. DeJean in there for this game, guys. He's going to be the one in the slot working on Reed. If they take out Jalen Reed, then who are the Packers going to throw the football to? Is it Tucker Kraft going to have a 100-yard game? Josh Jacobs, I guess, running the football, but you think Fangio probably has some ideas to keep that box tight and make sure that they force Jordan Love and whatever percent his elbow and funny bone is to throw the football to victory.
Yeah. Well, the funny bone, yeah, but that's where I differ. I mean, people really don't, I think, get like Dobbs and Wicks. I mean, Wicks in the opener dropped like 3 passes. Like if he catches those passes, I mean,
but that's kind of how Wicks has been though throughout his career, right? He's like has all this, especially this year, all this potential, and yet it's like, when's he going to put it together for a 7-catch, 150-yard game?
Yeah, but he usually doesn't drop 3 in one game. Like if you're counting on that,
sure.
It's the same thing as Leggett dropped the football. If you're counting on that to happen, it might happen. Great if it does happen, but it's probably not going to happen again. So I, to be honest, I don't take much from week 1 on either side because of the field. And both teams, that's where I said the Packers have changed dramatically, just like the Eagles. That in fact, they're eerily similar to the point where they both gave their quarterback $50 million and scaled back so they wouldn't turn it over, which has worked. They haven't turned it over, I think, 6 or 7 games. Jordan Love hasn't thrown an interception in about 6 games. But they've become less explosive, relying on the running game. They traded Preston Smith. They're playing a bunch of different guys on the edge. Edgerrin Cooper barely played in that first game. Now he's been one of the best rookies. They've morphed a lot defensively. Don't have Jair Alexander, but they haven't had him for a while. They got the playmaker. In fact, here's my take, Thomas. Whoever of the playmakers makes the big play is going to win this game. Xavier McKinney versus C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
There you go. Okay.
Whoever makes the big interception is going to win this game.
Okay.
1-score game. That's what's going to happen.
Okay. I mean, listen, McKinney's been great. I think Howie, I don't know if he regrets, not getting him because Gardner-Johnson has really come on the past 2.5 months, but McKinney has been fantastic for the Packers. Yeah. I do think that it is a little different in terms of, the Packers have changed since week 1, but the core of their football team is about what we saw in week 1, right? It's a good defense, not an elite defense, and it's a run-first offense that has a lot of intriguing pieces on the outside, but no real superstar takeover football game sort of threat. Whereas Philadelphia's defense went from what we were hoping would be a top 15 defense to being the best. And they also have the elite running back, who I think Saquon is leagues better than Josh Jacobs. I think it is a big difference for Josh Jacobs has been great. Saquon's been mean, way, way better overall, way more dominant, especially in the second half. And they have A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith on the outside. And so as we get into the second half of this football game, if Philadelphia can hit 1 or 2 deep shots and get those safeties to start backing up a little bit in fear of getting beat again by A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith, we're going to see exactly what happened in that Rams Sunday Night Football game where it's kind of close. There's some odd turnovers happening in the first quarter, first half, and then Saquon pops a 60-yarder. And then it's, suddenly a 10-point game. And then the Eagles run the football almost every single snap in the fourth quarter. Saquon pops another 50-yarder, and this thing's over. It's 31-17. We're going to find out. It's going to be fun either way. I think Philadelphia wins this round, and I think that they can handle Tampa, even though I'm scared of them in round 2. AFC side, Buffalo can easily lose this weekend, guys. I think Denver has nothing to lose, and they have the defense, especially with Patrick Surtain, to really mess up what Buffalo likes to do on offense.
I agree. Not a great matchup for Buffalo.
Not a great matchup. If Buffalo wins that game, I take Buffalo to go out of the AFC. If Buffalo loses that game, it's probably going to be Kansas City again. I think Buffalo can beat Kansas City. If Kansas City doesn't have to play Buffalo at all the rest of the playoffs because they lost to Denver, I think it's going to be Kansas City all over again. So right now, I would say Buffalo, Philadelphia. But Denver is the worst possible matchup the Buffalo Bills could have had in the first round. And it's going to be fascinating to watch this weekend.
Great stuff.
All right. I want to hear from an Eagle fan. So I'm sorry. I'm going to sneak one last one in at Real Thomas Mott. If the worst case scenario happens and the Eagles are bounced, one and done,
sure.
Nick Sirianni, you're not going to be one calling for his job or anything of that nature.
Is the score on Sunday close or not close? That's my question.
Well, it's not going to be 4-3. It's going to be a one-score game.
One-score game.
Xavier McKinney, as I said, makes the play. That type of game. Obviously, if they lose 40-3, yes, everything's on the table. But that's not going to happen.
If they lost double digits, whether it's 10 points, 14, or 21, I think that Nick Sirianni would be on a very hot seat. I would lean towards them keeping him. If it's a one-score game and McKinney tips a pass in the end zone and it's picked and they lose, devastating as that would be, I think that Nick Sirianni stays. I think internally, Nick Sirianni, and again, the whole question was, have the players given up last year? Do the players hate Nick Sirianni? I think this season they've done a really good job, whether they mean it or not, to change the PR around Philadelphia and be like, they love Nick Sirianni. I mean, the amount of guys that go on camera, whether they, again, are being honest or not, and say that Nick Sirianni is awesome, he's so great, we love Nick Sirianni. I think Sirianni stays, and I think part of that has to do with the fact I don't think Kellen Moore gets a head coaching job because there aren't that many, right? Because Vrabel's going to take the Patriots, so there's 4, and Fangio's not going anywhere either. So the core around Nick Sirianni that's really, I think, reined him in on all of his antics is going to be there in 2025. So if it's 40-10, I think I'll be calling for a coaching change. If it's close, I think we would expect Nick Sirianni to stay.
Yeah,
I reined in his annex. I love Thomas. Reined in his annex.
All right, Thomas,
thanks for joining today, brother. Make sure everybody goes and subscribes to the Thomas Mott Show on YouTube, one of the better Eagles channels out there. Thomas, thanks for joining today, man. We appreciate it. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Let's get a win on Sunday. Now, obviously, myself and Josh Davis will be live for Eagles-Packers Sunday afternoon. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe and join us for that live stream. It's going to be electric, fun, and hopefully result in a Birds victory. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, the signed DeVonta Smith football giving away at 80,000 subs, which is going to happen maybe next week, maybe the following week, but you must be a subscriber. That's the best way to enter, so go ahead and do that right now. I'm Thomas Mott. Let's just hope for a nice, easy, comfortable playoff win on Sunday. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.